I wasn't planning on making a Bommal video today, but I've received so many questions that I just need to help you guys out. Let's go over every possible way that I know to beat Bommal. Let's go. What's up, guys? MtgJedi here. How you doing today? We are talking about Bommal, and I'm gonna focus on floor 90 on hard mode, but all of these strategies work on all of the levels, okay? Much easier to beat every other level than floor 90 on hard. Floor 90 on hard requires serious gear, serious champions, and real high-end team compositions, okay? But luckily now there are many ways to beat this boss. I was doing a takeover yesterday live on stream. I do takeovers all of the time, and if you're interested, you can go to MtgJedi.com, look at the takeovers, and see if that's going to work for you. You can also message me in Discord and talk it over first if you'd like to. Always happy to do that for you guys. So when I was on my dude Kayun's account yesterday, basically what we figured out is that he did not have a viable team. He didn't have any teams on his entire account with the champions that he had leveled up. And honestly, I think that that's true for a lot of people. I'm not saying you don't have those champions in your roster, I'm saying you don't have those champions leveled up. So let's go over all of the strategies that I know in order to beat Bommal. I'm not going to do runs with all of them because I don't have all of them geared, but I do want to talk about all of them. There are really 4 main ways to beat Bommal, maybe 5, but really 4 main ways, okay? So the first way that I'm going to talk about is the way that I beat this content originally, and the way that we recommended Kayun to beat it yesterday on stream. And that is going to be a Reviver with Resistance. No, this does not have to be Sulfurion, so don't freak out that you don't have a Void Legendary, okay? The second thing that you're going to want is Decrease Accuracy. Tatora is the best at that because he has an A1 100% decrease accuracy. And you literally just disable all of his other abilities on the boss so that he only uses A1s. That was what confused me originally with the decrease accuracy stuff, is that like you have these other abilities. When do you use them, and the timing and stuff, you don't use them. You only do decrease accuracy. If you don't have Tatora, the other champion that is really good at that is going to be Geomancer, and then you can just shut off his A2 so you can flip back and forth between these. It's not 100%, but you can rerun the run as many times as you want. You know, like just hit replay, hit replay, hit replay. And like the runs can be a little bit long sometimes. Like I was looking at the Hell Hades optimizer. Some of the teams are like 10 to 15 minute runs. So that does suck, but you only have to beat it once. Okay, so if you don't have Tatora or Geomancer, any decrease accuracy champion will work. Actually, the other good champion is actually Whirlum. Whirlum. You're being a troublemaker today, Whirlum. So Whirlum is the other one because of the same thing. He is going to have this decrease accuracy ability here that's 100%. And he can also help you get through the waves. I don't know that he's like the best, but he does have a chance to freeze, so you can try to freeze the bombs. I really want to make a bomb freezing team, but I just don't, the pieces are not quite clicking. So if you have been working on a bomb freeze strategy, like we tried yesterday to use Cryoden with Sulfurion. So we were putting the burns up, and then we were freezing the bombs, and we were very survivable, but we just didn't have enough damage. And so that is a thing you need to consider. Like, how are you killing this boss? Is it just with War Master procs? Do you have some other way to deal damage to the boss like Sulfurion? Sulfurion actually really good, and I cleared it with this team in case you were wondering, okay? So that is the first strategy, is going to be your high resistance reviver, decrease accuracy, and then 1 to 2 Vogoths, okay? 1 to 2 Vogoths. And I love the Vogoths for this team, and you can make them slow and tanky, and it works, okay? So we will take a look at and see this run, because I have this team together. Okay, so let's see this strategy run. And I'm just going to flip ahead to the boss. We'll start the run here, and then we'll go together to the boss. And then that will allow me to really show you what we're doing. Basically, what I do is I just let this run and on auto because I have the presets set up. And I highly recommend doing that, especially because, again, these runs can take so long. So I'll go ahead. The waves are going to be slow unless you can fit in a damage dealer on the waves, which is hard. Then we'll get to the boss, and I'll come back in and we'll talk a little bit more. All right, so we're here to the boss, and what you're going to see is that it's still going to take a while, okay? You're not going to resist all the bombs, but you're going to want to keep that decrease accuracy up. The Vogoth is going to try to extend those debuffs and help you survive. Now, we also have a critical component here. You can see that there's a bomb on him. That is from the deflection set. And the deflection set is a gear set that nobody crafts, but it is one that is close to my heart. I particularly love deflection set. You can deflect the sheep debuff. You can deflect Bommal's bombs. It is really an amazing set. Now, with any of these teams, this is not going to be 100% run because we can always get 3%ed or whatever. Our reviver can randomly die, and it does not always go well, okay? But this team, from what I've seen this morning, is pretty consistent, and so that's the main reason why I wanted to share it. But you see Sulfurion died there. This might still be enough because we've deflected 4 bombs back. So when he takes another turn, we might get him, but typically when your reviver dies, that is when you die. Just like that. Okay, so we just didn't get the RNG correct, okay? And how you can improve that is always more resistance, but I didn't want to be crazy here. I didn't want to put a ridiculous amount of resistance. He only has 252. I wanted to simply show that it's possible to do it as long as you have some resistance and decrease accuracy. Now, could I go in there and put more? Yes, absolutely. But I'll just run this again and we'll win, and then I'll show you that screen. Okay, I wanted to talk about a couple more things here as well. In this team, you can also bring an increased resistance champion. Owella is a great example of that, but like if you have Grazier, or there's a couple of other good ones like some mythical champions, my favorite one, Androck, which I don't have. You know, there's other champions that do it as well, but I think Owella is the best one for the job. You can put some resistance on all of your champions, bring an increased resistance champion, and run the team like that as well. You just gotta have to make sure you have resistance on all of your champions. Number 2, don't forget that this is still, to this day, one of the hardest bosses in the entire game. I don't think it's the hardest boss anymore, because I think Amius is harder. I also think Sand Devil is particularly hard depending on your roster. But this is still one of the hardest bosses in the game. Period. So if you're struggling on this content, I just want to encourage you, don't feel bad. Just stick with it. Maybe you don't have the champions and the team to do it just now, but you might in the future. So use these strategies, and going forward, then you can become successful and beat this content. Even if you can't do it right now, you'll be able to do it in the future. All right, so let's go ahead and see the run to completion. Let's get a victory here, and then we'll move on to the next team. All right, there we go. So 220, which is, I think, the fastest time for this team from me. You can see Geomancer doing the majority of the damage. He's reflecting all of that damage back, okay? And so let's take a look at the presets, the stats, all the stuff. We're going to be the most detailed at the beginning on this first team. Basically, all of Sulfurion's stats are unimportant. You don't need him this fast. Not anywhere close to this. You could probably cut 100, no, not 100, but you could probably cut like at least 50 speed off easily. More resistance would be helpful, okay? He does need some accuracy. Geomancer, I think that these are kind of minimum stats for this content. You want some HP and defense, you want some speed, you want some accuracy. Tatora, I don't know. I just built him with like some random stats and random gear. Vogoth number 1 here, the empowered one. He's actually in Relentless. I don't even know why. I'm pretty sure there was a reason at some point that I geared him in Relentless, but he just has like a little mixture of all the stats. Like, he has HP and defense. He has like no speed basically, but resistance and accuracy. I mean, it's just whatever gear. Vogoth number 2, he's the one in the deflection set, and he's built a lot better. He doesn't need resistance. It would be nice if he had accuracy, but basically he's just built like a tanky boy in resistance, okay? And then the main thing is the bosses. The important thing is Tatora just A1ing. And Geo, I didn't even turn off his A2, but I will. And then Sulfurion's just prioritizing whatever as well. So really the only important one is Tatora. And then I will show you the builds and the masteries here, and then we'll do an overview on all of the champions. So again, Tatora in Relentless, not necessary at all. Okay, here are his masteries. Is it okay if I show the masteries like this, or do you need to see them like this? And then here's the masteries on Sulfurion. Here is his gear. Again, completely not necessary in any way. Vogoth number 1 in Relentless. That gear is not necessary. He does have these masteries, which is very similar to Vogoth number 2. And here's the gear, okay? I mean, just like, look, it's not good. HP percent, HP percent, defense percent. And then just like tanky stats on all of them. We still have level 12 gear here, right? This is not a particularly good build. It just has like some of the main stats we're looking for, okay? And the deflection set. The Geomancer is, also in deflection. I forgot about that spicy bit. And again, his stats are going to be a little bit harder, but, you know, it's not like this is actually good gear. This is fine. That's a decent piece. This is fine, decent piece. And this is fine. But, like, the rest of this stuff, this is accessible builds, at least in my opinion, okay? Now let's go ahead. Oh, you probably want masteries there also. So let's go ahead and talk about all of the other options available to you for these strategies to beat Bommal. Okay, before we jump into the next strategy, I just want to mention, if you have one enemy max HP champion like a Newt, you can put him in that layout of the last team as well to help speed up the run, give it consistency, and help you beat that content easier. The next strategy is going to be based on enemy max HP champions, but you don't have to have a full team in order to use them, right? You can slot them in that same strategy that I just showed, and it will also be successful. Okay, the next strategy is basically your endgame type of strategy, where you're coming in here with some type of damage dealer to clear the waves, enemy max HP champions, and a reset champion. This is going to clear your content very quickly, and it's going to be no big deal, okay? You're just going to come in here, clear the waves, and then you're going to go to the boss. You're going to have no issues whatsoever. Basically, I mean, once you get the team tuned, like, you still have a little bit of issues because it's hard. It's a hard boss. So you can come in here and pretty easily clear this boss with enemy max HP champions. Now we have Grazier, we have Wallmaster. If you're getting Marius at some point, your newts are going to just wreck this boss, okay? It's just really not that big of a deal if you have a robust roster. I don't even think you need the Acrisia. I just put her in here for like some consistency. You know, just I don't even think it's necessary. Like, she's actually making the run slower right now. I mean, a minute, that's kind of pretty close to my best time, which was 52 seconds. You can see less turns, right? But like an end game strategy where you come in here and nuke them and then use your enemy max HP champions. I don't think that that's brilliant or next level or anything, but I do want to mention you can just kill the boss, okay? Speaking of just killing the boss, the next strategy is going to be a Nishak strategy. It is very similar to what you just saw, except you can mix and match any combination of survivability and damage. Like, you can throw Nishak in that first team, for example. You can have your Reviver and your Vogoths and your Decrease Accuracy champion, and then Nishak. Okay, that I don't have a blessing. I don't have like any crazy gear on my Nishak, but you want to prioritize on your Nishak as much attack as possible, and he needs accuracy. If you have a blessing on him, you're going to be easily able to get more stats than this. I don't really use my Nishak, despite all the memes that used to be on the channel from me forgetting to press the fuse button. The Nishak strategy is great because you're just basically bombing them, okay? Now, you can also include other bomb champions in here. I don't really recommend a full bomb team. Like, you want some other type of support champions, but you can come in here and bomb Bommal. A great idea is to also include the deflection set in any of these teams, so that you're throwing the bombs back at him, okay? So that is strategy number 3, bomb the Bommal. And the fourth strategy to beating Bommal is going to be the solo strategy, okay? The most common solo strategy champions are going to be Lady Annabelle, Boranguri, and Master Butcher. There are other options. I don't recommend them. And if you can avoid it in any way, do not use Master Butcher. Those runs are 10 to 15 minutes and miserable. Okay, the Boranguri and Lady Annabelle ones are bad enough, but I think trying to use Master Butcher is just ridiculous. One champion that you want to try to include in all of your solo strategies is your Sun Wukong. Oh, I typed monkey. That's hilarious. So if you have a Sun Wukong, you can include them and then have a wave clearer. You can have a whole team surrounding your solo champion, and then they're just there to deal damage. Like, maybe you have a crappy bomb champion. You come and you lay a couple bombs. Maybe you have a Cold Heart or a Husk to come in for an enemy max HP hit. Maybe you have a nice Reviver, but your team's not very good. Whatever the case might be, you can pair whoever you want with the solo, but typically you want everybody to die in the team. That is what makes Monkey so good, is because he can die and just keep coming back. And then your solo champion is doing all the work, okay? I don't have either of these champions built for this content, but especially if you can empower them, you're going to get the stats needed to clear this content, okay? I think that this is your last option on the list. I would not go to this right away. Some other people might disagree with me, but I would personally rather build a whole team than build one champion to try to solo it, because then that team's working together and lifting each other up rather than trying to rely on one champion and their gear to do it. But you have to know your account to be able to be successful with this strategy. It depends on your account. You know it best, all right? Now, if you have any other cool teams that beat Bommal, I would love to hear about them. I'd love to cover and publish other strategies, especially if you have that freeze burn strategy that I was talking about. Like, I was working this morning with Blazar to try to see, number one, he can't solo it. Don't waste your time there. He can't solo it. The boss will just strip his buffs, okay? But what he also does is AoE freeze. Not that one, this one, AoE freeze. But there are plenty of other freeze champions. Like, can we just freeze them? I also wanted to try to include Torment in that strategy, but I mean, I couldn't get it to work yesterday on Kayun's account. We were using Sulfurion, we were using Cryodin, and we were using Torment as well, and then experimenting with other champions, okay? And I think that this is a really cool idea, but I don't know if it will actually work. So if anybody has information on this strategy, please let me know. We might need more than one freeze champion, that's fine. I just want to build this strategy because I think it's sweet. Or whatever new strategy you're working on. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully this was helpful. I'm probably gonna pull a couple shards today, but I haven't decided. So, you know, if you're subscribed to the channel, you'll see the notifications and whatnot. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Good luck on your Bommal adventures, and message me if you need help.